Hey everybody, I want to take a couple minutes and just kind of recap an awesome conversation I had with Walter, who is the ministry president down in Guatemala. We were talking about moving forward with the ministry now that we have the name all sorted out, Unidos para Servir, and what are our next steps to better serve the families. And he told me two important things that were really eye-opening to me. The first one was that as we grow the ministry, as we start to look for more board members, because every 3 years the board has to kind of reset, and we can vote to have the same board members or not. But he said, you know, a lot of North Americans come down to Guatemala and they ask for help, and they try to connect with the local people, kind of similarly minded to what we're trying to do, and to empower the locals to do the work. And he said one thing that they miss a lot, though, is that when they ask people for help, they say yes not because they want to see the ministry grow or be better, but because they want to help the person that they're asking. And I said, I never thought of that. He's like, so the real question is, the people that are on our board, are they on our board to see Uniting to Serve grow and be better and serve the families in the community, or because Dylan asked them and they want to help Dylan? Wow. I said, so what do we do next? And he said, well, we're going to start engaging. In fact, he is going to start engaging the board members to get them more involved. Which pulls us into question number 2. The second thing that we talked about was, he said, Dylan, in this vision that God is giving you for the ministry down here, have you ever seen anything or heard anything from the Lord about planting a church? And I said, well, kind of. I said, we're definitely not against planting churches, but we're not, in our, American mindset, we're not going down there to start a church per se. I said, but the things we're doing is certainly being the church. We're helping the poor and needy in the community. We're raising up leaders. We're making disciples. We're working on spiritual formation and growth. And I've been called by some Guatemalans a pastor, even though I don't have the actual title pastor. And I actually kind of avoid that, so I'm not put into a box of what I'm supposed to be doing. And he said, look, kind of like shook his head, and he was like, I'm gonna be honest with you. And he's like, I don't want to be offensive. I said, let me have it, man. I love the relationship that I have with Walter, that he can be open, especially in a culture like Guatemala where the people are very non-confrontational. They don't want to hurt your feelings. They don't want to say anything against you. It's more common to say something behind your back or to somebody else in hopes that they will come to you and talk to you. But Walter's a straight shooter, just like I am. And he's like, look, there are many organizations and churches that were started here in Guatemala that don't have the name church in them. And he's like, it doesn't matter what you call it. If it's a church, they're going to call it a church. And so he started naming a couple of the huge churches in the area. Casa de Dios, which is a house of God, or Fraternidad de Guatemala, which is Brotherhood of Guatemala. He's like, it's a church. They have pastors, they have deacons, they have elders. And so they named them these things, but they just call it Church of the House of God, or Church of the Brethren of Guatemala. And he says, doesn't matter what you put on it, try and not make it look like a church. Because I even said, trying to be sensitive to the families we're serving, a lot of them have been hurt in the name of God, and a lot of them have been hurt by church organizations, and so they don't feel comfortable in church. Then we got to remember what church actually is. It's the gathering of God's people. So it doesn't matter what name you put on it, or what you call it, or what the organization is. It's church. It is the gathering of God's people to grow closer to Him. So I looked at him and I said, well, I guess the answer is yes. So in that, our next initiative that we're going to be doing is looking at weekly or even bi-weekly gatherings of the families and creating a church environment for them where they can be open and honest and grow closer to God, because they have been hurt by church organizations. It is church. It's exactly what we're aiming to do. So it was about just 2 weeks ago where I had to come to a realization that even though I've never actually called myself a church planter, it's exactly what we're doing. We are reaching those who are unreached. We are creating a community where people who are living on the fringes of society, who have been even ostracized by multiple churches in the community of Guatemala, in the context of Guatemala, where we're creating a place for them where they can actually learn about God and grow. And so Walter's going to be talking to the board members about participating in that and coming and teaching lessons and kind of guiding those times. And I will be continuing to work on our project of spiritual formation and creating videos. So I am on the board there. I'm the treasurer. And I will also be participating in that way and through video calls, which is going to be kind of cool. So just ask for your prayers in this as we continue to move forward. It's super exciting. If you received our last update, you know that we brought on Jacqueline as a part-time staff member. She is so stoked about that, and we're excited to have her on board. And we just had a prayer meeting last week, and she was involved, and it was like we got off the call, and Missy said, "It sounds weird, but the team seems better with Jacqueline as a part of it." And it's like, yeah, that means it's what God wants us to be doing. So I wanted to share that with you, especially with the conversation with Walter, because that's the caliber of person that we put in place, that we asked to play part, and that God has said yes and affirmed, and He continues to affirm that. And we are literally doing ministry together. It is awesome. Every time I talk with Walter, he is such an encouragement. And he's like, "Look, man, you're going through a lot of stuff there, and it's hard, and you know, you've lost some supporters, but you've gained others, and this is all part of the process." He said, I said to him with the board that we put together, I said, "I don't know anybody else." He's like, "You didn't do anything wrong. It's part of the process, but now we're taking this to the next level, and this is where we got to go." And I was like, "This is exactly why you are in the position that you're supposed to be, because God knows what He's doing, and so we have to trust that above all else." So want to leave you guys with that. Hopefully this wasn't too long for you. Thank you for your prayers, and until next time, keep it real.